At Wesley Station, every morning was the same. Busy footsteps, loud train whistles, and the scent of strong coffee floating in the air. It was a place where people rushed, late for work, late for school, late for life. But on that one strange Monday, something was different. He was standing near the vending machine. A man named Daniel Hart, 34 years old, quiet, thoughtful, a writer who hadn't written in months. Daniel didn't know why he still came to the station. He didn't even take the train anymore. Maybe he was just searching for something or someone, and then he saw her. She was standing on platform 19, just past the newspaper stand. A girl, maybe 23, wearing a light blue dress. Her hair, dark brown, almost black, was gently curled, and her hands held a folded piece of paper like it was treasure. She looked lost, not in a confused way, but in a waiting way, like someone had promised to meet her long ago. Daniel watched her for a moment. People rushed past her, but she didn't move. She didn't speak. She just waited. Train pulled in. People got on. People got off. But she didn't. And when the platform emptied, she was still there. Daniel blinked. Then she was gone. The next day, Daniel came again, earlier this time, and again she was there. Same dress, same folded paper, and the same stillness, as if time stopped around her. He wanted to speak, to ask her if she was okay, to know her name, but something held him back. She looked like a memory that didn't want to be disturbed. Rain started to fall, soft at first, then heavier. People ran for cover, but not her. She didn't move. Daniel stepped forward. He took out his umbrella. He walked over to her. But before he could say anything, a voice on the speaker echoed. Train to Grace and Falls arriving on platform 19. Daniel turned to look at the train, only for a second. When he looked back, she was gone again. Daniel couldn't stop thinking about her. He came every day, at the same time, same platform. And every day, there she was, just standing, just waiting. He began to ask around. The newspaper seller had seen her. I think she's been coming here for weeks, the man said, but she never gets on the train. The station guard told him she is quiet, never speaks, just stares at the tracks. Daniel was pulled in. Something about her felt unreal. She didn't carry a phone. She never drank or ate. She never smiled, and always she held that same folded paper. On the sixth day, Daniel stayed longer. The girl stood at the usual spot. Daniel kept his distance. Then a strong gust of wind tore the paper from her hand. It flew up, spun in the air, and landed near Daniel's feet. He picked it up. The girl didn't move. She didn't chase after it. The paper was old, yellowed at the edge. It was a letter. A letter dated June 12th, 2005, exactly 20 years ago. The ink had faded, but the first line was still clear. Dear Anna, I promise to meet you on platform 19 every year, no matter what. His hands shook. Daniel looked up, but this time She was walking away. He ran after her, but in the crowd, she vanished. Daniel sat at his desk that night. The letter lay in front of him. The ink was faded, but the words stayed with him. Dear Anna, I promise to meet you on platform 19 every year, no matter what. He read it over and over again. The date on the letter was 20 years ago, and still the girl came. Why? Who was she waiting for? Daniel had questions, but no answers. So the next morning, he returned. Daniel brought the letter with him, and something else, his old camera. He wasn't a photographer, but he wanted to remember her face. At exactly 7:45 a.m., she appeared. Same place, same dress, same paper, or maybe a memory of it. Daniel stayed quiet. He didn't want to scare her. But then he lifted the camera slowly, clicked the shutter. She didn't even blink. He looked at the photo, and his heart skipped a beat. Her face was slightly blurred, almost transparent. He checked his camera, took another photo, same result, like she wasn't really there. Daniel felt a chill. He needed answers, real ones. That afternoon, Daniel visited the Kingsley Public Library. He searched for anything about Platform 19, accidents, disasters, people who had gone missing. He found something. An old newspaper article, dated June 50, 2005. The headline read, Young woman dies in train collision at Wesley Station. The article told the story of a girl named Anna Whitmore. She was 23, engaged to a man named Thomas Reed. They had planned to run away together, but that day, two trains collided. Anna didn't arrive. Her fiancé never returned. No one ever saw him again. Daniel started at the photo in the article. It was her, the girl, the one on platform 19. Daniel sat quietly on a bench at the station the next morning. The sky was grey. The air felt heavy. He held the newspaper in one hand and the letter in the other. At 7:45 a.m., she arrived. He stood up slowly, walked toward her. This time, she looked at him, not directly, but almost through him. Daniel raised the letter. I found this, he whispered, softly, gently. I think it belonged to you. The girl blinked, her lips moved, but no sound came out. A tear rolled down her cheek. Then she looked toward the tracks and slowly turned away. And as the train approached, she vanished, right in front of him. Later that day, Daniel approached an old man in uniform. He was the station master, had worked there for over 30 years. Daniel asked him, Do you know anything about the girl on platform 19? The man looked up. His eyes were tired, but kind. You saw her too? He asked softly. Daniel nodded. The station master sighed. Her name was Anna. She died waiting for someone, a man who never came. Every year since then, someone reports seeing her. Daniel's voice trembled. Why does she come back? The man looked out toward the platform. Some promises, are stronger than time. The next morning, Daniel returned again. He wore a dark coat, held a white rose, and in his pocket he had a small box, not for her, but for the memory she carried. At 7:45 a.m., the platform was empty. He waited and waited. But this time, she didn't come. Minutes passed, then an hour. Still no sign. Just when he was about to leave, a sudden breeze swept past. And there, on the bench, lay the folded letter. No one had placed it there, but it was clean, uncreased. Daniel picked it up, opened it again. But now, a second line had appeared beneath the first. I waited. I always waited. Daniel couldn't stop thinking about the second line in the letter. I waited. I always waited. It wasn't just a ghost story anymore. It was a message, left for someone. But maybe that someone was him now. He decided to search for Thomas Reed, Anna's fiance, the man who never came back. Daniel didn't know where to start. There were no phone numbers, no family mentioned in the article. But after hours of digging, he found an address, old, faded on a form from the town archives. It led to a small town, about 2 hours away. So he went. It was a quiet street, barely any people, no cars. The house was small, faded blue walls, windows closed tight. Daniel knocked. No answer. He waited, knocked again. Then the door opened slightly. An old man stood there, grey hair, deep wrinkles, eyes that had seen too much. Yes, the man asked softly. Daniel introduced himself, explained the story, the station, the letter, the girl in blue. The old man didn't speak at first. Then his hand trembled. He walked inside. Daniel followed. The man sat in a chair near the window. I am Thomas, he said quietly. I was supposed to meet her 20 years ago. I told her he'd wait on platform 19 every year on that date. His voice cracked. I got into an accident that day. Car flipped on the highway. I was in a coma for 3 months. When I woke up, I thought she had changed her mind. Tears welled in his eyes. I didn't know. No one told me she died. By the time I found out, it was too late. Daniel didn't speak. He couldn't. Thomas looked out the window. I went back once, on the 10th anniversary, but I never saw her. Daniel pulled out the photo from his camera. She was still waiting, he said softly, until 3 days ago. Thomas came to the station the next morning. Daniel waited beside him. They stood at platform 19. No words, just silence and hope. At 7:45 a.m., the air shifted, and then she appeared. Anna, same dress, same paper, same quiet grace. She looked up, and for the first time, she saw him. Thomas stepped forward, tears running freely. His hand reached out, but he didn't touch her. He whispered, I am sorry, I was late. Anna smiled, and the letter in her hand slowly faded. Then, so did she, like morning mist under the sun. That was the last time anyone saw the girl on platform 19. No more sittings, no more reports, just silence. Daniel stood beside Thomas. Neither of them spoke. They both knew. She had waited, and he had come. It was enough. A week later, Daniel wrote again. For the first time in years, words flowed easily, like someone had opened the door inside him. He published a short story titled The Girl on Platform 19. It became the most read piece in the paper that month. But Daniel didn't care about the numbers. What mattered was that her story was remembered. Months passed. Life moved on. Daniel still visited Wesley Station, but not to wait, not to search, just to sit, to watch life happen, and quietly to remember. Sometimes he saw a young couple log in, or an older woman waving goodbye to her son, and he smiled, because love still moved through that platform, even after all these years.